he goes on to say this. So Jesus came again to Cana, where he had turned the water into wine. So Jesus came to Cana, where he had turned the water into wine. Now you remember that was Cana, where Nathanael was from, and now he's back to that same place. And at that time it said that was the first sign, that was the first clue of who Jesus was. Now he comes back to that same place that Nathanael was from. And so this place is getting a lot of attention, even though it's a very small place here. Of Galilee, where he had made the water into wine, and there was a certain nobleman whose son was sick at Capernaum. And so there was a certain nobleman that was sick at Capernaum, and when he heard that Jesus had come out of Judea into Galilee, he went and implored him to come down and heal his son. And so there is this this rich man, this man that is a nobleman, which means he either was of royal descent or he maybe worked for somebody like King Herod or something like that, but he was connected to the king in some way, and his son was sick. And the Greek talks about it being a young son. And so he was concerned about his son that was sick, and he came to Jesus because he heard about what Jesus could do. And you kind of got to feel for him, right? Because have any of you ever had a young child that was sick? Anybody here? Okay. And how do you feel when that's happening? Scared, hopeless, helpless. I remember, I think was it Zoe that got 106 temperature, or was it 104? So you got a really high temperature? What was it, you remember? It was something way up there, you know. And so we called the doctor a couple times. Finally, I called back and I said, "Now listen, what should we do? It's you know, we're using ice and all that stuff." And the doctor on the other end said, "Well, this doesn't usually result in death." How would you like to hear that? It doesn't usually result in death. What? Well, that obviously you get more and more desperate. This guy was desperate. He came to see Jesus, and he came because he wanted a miracle. Now, when we pray for a miracle, like when someone is sick, and we pray for them to be healed, are they healed? Sometimes, not all the time. So when we pray, they're not always healed. Well, what about when we pray and we're asking God because we really have some financial, we're asking God to bless us and give us finances. Does he do that all the time? So he doesn't do that all the time. Okay. Well, what about when somebody's about ready to die and you pray that they would live? Does he answer that prayer? Not all the time. Only okay. So I mean, let's imagine that it did. Let's say if you came to Lighthouse and you prayed, every time your prayer would be answered. Do you think we'd have a better attendance? The word would get out when you pray. And the other thing, but here's the strange thing. Dear God, I want to thank you and praise you that you are in control. And we cry out to you many times, but we cry out with faith that you know us, that you're guiding us, that you're directing us, that you have a plan for us, and that you can lead us safely through all of the ups and downs, the darkness and the sin and the death in this world. You can lead us through holding our hand, being with us, and into the next world where we'll be with you forever. These things I pray in Jesus' name.